Hey everybody, it's Dana and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be working with some products from the new Gina K designed release. Now, I want to say that some of these products over on Gina's website are sold out. However, they are available on Simon Says Stamp. So for our background today, we're using the holly background, which is oh so pretty. And then we're going to be using this very large, very pretty bold holiday sentiment. I love the bold sentiment and the sub sentiment in that fine writing. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So for the background today, I decided I wanted to do a little bit of heat embossing. So I will bring in my Misty here, and the color of cardstock we're using is going to be sea glass. This happens to be one of my favorite colors from Gina K. I just think it's so pretty. I'll go ahead and place that down into the middle of my Misty. Now, anytime you're doing a little bit of heat embossing, you want to make sure that you dust your paper with the anti-static tool. If you don't have that, I think you can use baby powder or it might be cornstarch. I will go ahead and list all the products that I'm using below in the description box today in case any of you want to pick up any of these products. So when I take off a large background like this, I kind of like to roll it back on itself so that it does not stretch out my stamp too much. Now I can go ahead and line that up over that gorgeous cardstock. And like I said, I'm going to be doing some heat embossing with this today. So let me just give you guys a little bit of some information. Now, anytime products are sold out at the Gina K Designs website, she does do her darndest to get them back in stock quickly. So if you want to purchase from them, I would say just hold on for a little bit. I did hear, I think in Jennifer's video, that has already placed another order. But like I said, they do have some of these products available at Simon Says Stamp. So I will link them there if you guys want to get them immediately. And I want to thank you guys for using my affiliate links. It really does help me out by buying products to showcase here on my YouTube channel and over on my Instagram and as well as on my blog. I really, really appreciate that. It makes a world of difference for me. And if you guys are new here, please feel free to subscribe, hit the notification bell, as well as hitting the like button. That really helps my videos here on YouTube, and it allows me to be seen by more crafty people. All right, I have a good impression here, so we're going to remove this out of my Misty. Now, if you wanted to, you could leave that in there, and then you can keep making more cards. You guys know I like to batch create, but if you're just doing a one-off like that, then you can go ahead and remove that and clean your stamp and then put it up. Now, for my gold today, I am a huge fan of the Hero Art Gold embossing powder. So that's the embossing powder we're going to use today. I do feel like with this sea glass, gold, no, I'm sorry, not gold, silver will also look gorgeous on this color. And if you're batch creating and you get tired of using the gold, I would definitely say use a silver embossing. Or if you wanted to do tone on tone and skip the embossing, that would look just as pretty. So I am just putting some embossing powder in here, and then I'm shaking it so I have good coverage on the first time. I learned this tip from, I can't remember who here on YouTube. It might have been Emily Midget, I think. But she ends up putting on the embossing powder, kind of shaking it around on her card before she actually dumps off the embossing powder. So this way you get a really good coverage and you don't have to keep going back and forth trying to get that embossing powder on there. So let's go ahead and get this embossing powder out of the way, and then we can go ahead and heat set this. You guys know I love, love, love heat embossing because I like to see that dull powder become like that shiny color. And that's what happens when you heat emboss on embossing powder. It just really brings everything to life. So you can see here, half of my card is like that dull color. And then we have the magic of that heat. And look how pretty it looks. I do like to make sure that I heat from the front and the back because that helps your paper from bowing too much. So if you're getting a lot of bowing in your paper, one, make sure your heat gun is very, very hot, and then make sure that you heat from the front and the back. All right, I'm just going to touch up some spots here, and then we are done. And look how pretty this looks. Now, this is a little bit warm, so I'm going to go ahead and just fan this just a tad bit because I want to go ahead and move on to our next step. Now, once I have this done, I mean, I could be finished at this point right here, but I feel like I want to step this up just a little bit. So I'm going to use the sea glass ink. And this is just going to add a little bit more richness to the corners of this piece. Now, this is a step that you can totally skip, but I feel like just adding a little bit of color and actually the same color looks fantastic when you're doing this technique. So as you can see, I use sea glass paper. So I'm also using the sea glass ink. And that really makes that color just pop. It gives it a little bit more of a saturation in color, but you can see I'm not going all the way into the piece. I'm just wanting to do it around the corners. So if you're looking for something that can just amp up your cards just a little bit, I highly, highly, highly suggest adding a little bit of ink blending around your card panels. Now, once I have this color done, I really like it, but I wanted to have a little bit of a softer, muted color. So to achieve that, I'm going to use some white ink. Now, this is the Hero Arts Unicorn ink, but if you have I believe Gina K has white ink as well. If you have that, you can use that as well. Now, I will say before you do this step, you do want to wipe down your cardstock because you do not want to transfer that blue into your white ink pad. But this is just going to soften up that saturation of that blue. It's not going to take it away. It's just going to soften it up just a tad bit, almost gives it like a cloudy little look. All right, I'll keep going around. And now when you're done with this ink is pigment ink. So it is going to sit on your cardstock. So my suggestion is once you get the ink where you want it, and look how gorgeous that is. It did not mute down that other blue. It just gives it more of a softer feel. Now, I do have a little bit of blue on my blending brush, but I will clean that before I use this brush again because you really do not want to contaminate your white ink pad. So you'll see here, I'm just really like buffing in that color. I'm not taking it away. I'm actually like buffing it into the paper. But look how soft it makes our edges. Now, if you want to amp this back up just a little bit more, I would say add some more of that blue, but keep away from that white. And then you kind of get a halo look on your card panel. And I just think this really does step up your cards. And it does not take very long to do. All right, for my card today, I decided I want to do a gatefold card. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer here, and I'm going to split this cardstock right down the middle. So I'll go ahead and line that up. So I'm at my 2 mark, and I'm going to scooch it over to 2 and an eighth. And I'm going to split this cardstock in half. This is going to allow me to go ahead and do that gatefold card. So I can go ahead and press that down. And now I have 2 pretty pieces for my card. Now, if you wanted to just keep this panel the way it is, just don't cut it. But I feel like I want to step this up just a little bit. So I have a regular standard A2 card here. I have a piece of cardstock that measures 5.5 by 8.5. So I'm going to score at the 2 and an eighth. So 2 and an eighth. And then I'm going to go over and I'm going to score at 6 and 3/8. And again, I really want to push in that bone folder so I get a really good crease. Now I can remove this, and when I fold this card sides down, I'll have my gatefold card. So look how pretty this is. See? So easy to make. And I don't know why I don't do this more often because I really do like a good gatefold card. But I will be honest, interactive cards scare me. I'm just going to be honest. I love seeing other people do it, but it scares me. So We don't do them quite often, but I really should probably get over that. All right, so now we have our card pieces here, and look how pretty that is. Now, I do want to trim down these panels here because I want them to have a little bit of a white border around them. So you don't really have to do this, but I would just say if you wanted to add a white border, you definitely just want to trim this down. Now, when I say trim this down, I mean I'm just trimming like maybe an eighth off of this. And I'm only going to do it to two sides. So you see, I'll bring that up. I'm going to rotate my cardstock here, and I'm going to just trim off about another eighth on this side. This is just going to allow me to have that really nice border around these panels. And as you can see here, it looks very, very pretty with just the white border. Now, if you don't want to have the white border, that is totally fine. I just feel like it adds just a little bit of something, something to the card. So can you see how pretty that is with just having that smidget of a border? All right, let's go ahead and start doing our sentiment. Now, for the sentiment today, I'm going to use the peace word. At this point in creating, I was not sure if I wanted to use the bold piece or the outline piece. So I'm going to go ahead and place both of those down. I do want to have a sub sentiment as well. So I'm going to do the sentiment that says on earth. And that's going to allow me to have a piece of the sentiment on one side and a piece on the other side. If I just confused you, just hold on. You'll know what I mean in just a second. So I'll go ahead and line this up onto a piece of, this is a Gina K heavyweight cardstock. I meant to say that earlier. I also have the heavyweight when I did the card based as well. Anytime you're using a solid image like this, I highly suggest that you just kind of like rub over it just a little bit in order to take off the residue that is sitting on the stamp. It just helps you to get a really crisp image. Now for this, I did want to do a little bit of heat embossing. So we're going to go ahead and keep that gold running throughout this card. Right, I went ahead and put that powder on, and now I dried it back, and look how pretty that gold is. Now, upon looking on this, I feel like I might want to use the outline piece for my card today. So I did notice an area or two that I did not get on that full coverage piece, and that's okay because I can use that for a card a little bit later. Now, for this one, I said I did want to use the outline piece. Now, Gina does have coordinating dies for this. I would suggest getting the dies. It really does make it easier, but you could totally fussy cut this out as well because that piece is a very blockish kind of sentiment. So you could get away with just fussy cutting that. But for the smaller little sentiments, those might be a little bit tricky. So I would suggest grabbing the dies for this one. So I'll go ahead and line these dies up, and then I can go ahead and run them through my die cut machine. I did make sure to die cut out a few more pieces because I want this to be kind of thick. It is the sentiment that's going to be going across our gatefold card. So I want this sentiment to be a little bit thicker. I would not suggest doing this with just the one die cut piece because it might become a little bit soft on your card if somebody's moving it back and forth. So I highly suggest that you go ahead and stack both of these sentiments, the large sentiment as well as the sub sentiment. And anytime I'm doing this, I will take an acrylic block or something heavy to just go ahead and hold those pieces down while I start working on my other piece. But that is super easy to do. It might take you an extra 30 seconds to do this for your cards. All right, now it's time to go ahead and put our card together. So as you can see, this is going to be a gorgeous gatefold card. So remember, we trimmed off some of those pieces, and now I just need to adhere this to the card. Now, I did bring in my paper trimmer, and I'm just going to trim off a little bit more of that bottom piece so that I have a nice even border all the way around this card. Now it's time to go ahead and add our sentiment. I am going to use that acrylic block to hold my card closed until I can get this sentiment on. So that's just a little suggestion if you're kind of struggling with this, is just put something heavy on it just to keep it closed. Now, I do want to only put glue on the left side of this. So I'm just going to do it for the P and the E and just a tad bit of the A. And then I'll line that A up. And that's like my split mark on this card. So I know that this will be even. Again, you only want to put this on the left side. If you put it on the right side as well, you're going to close up your card. All right, once I get that down, then I can go ahead and use the sub-sentiment. And I'm only going to adhere that one down to the right side of my card. With using a liquid glue to it, it gives me just a couple more seconds to line everything up perfectly. Now I'll go ahead and put my paperweight on that. And like I said, on this one here, I only want to add glue to the right side. So that's only on the earth part of this sentiment. And then I can go ahead and remove that block and bring that up. So the on part of this sentiment is not adhered to anything, as well as that ACE of the piece. This way it allows us to be able to open this gorgeous card we just made. So once I have that in place, then we have this gorgeous gatefold card. Absolutely love how this turned out. Now, I did decide to add a few of some gold gems on here. Now, you can skip this step if you're mass producing and you don't want to have to do this to all of your cards, or maybe you can just do them to some of your cards. But I feel like it just adds a little bit of an elegant touch to this. To step up this card just a little bit more, I grabbed a couple of my Olo markers and I'm just trying to see which one works best with this. Because remember, we have that open piece. So I felt like I can do a little bit of an ombre here. I thought that would really pull in a little bit more of that blue shade. So remember, you can bring in your markers on this as well. Again, if you are mass producing this, you can go ahead and color up your sentiment piece before you actually put it on your card. So if you're sitting here watching TV and you have all of your sentiments die cut out and stacked together, go ahead and do this step before you ever bring it to your card base, because this way that kind of eliminates you having to do this step a little bit later. But again, if you're just doing a one off card or two off card, you can do it after it's put onto the card base. Either way is totally fine. I'm going to go back in with my bone folder and really press that down to make sure those creases are nice and tight. All right, everybody, that is the card for today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And I want to thank Gina for always bringing us so many great products every single month. And I hope you have fun making a gatefold card for your holiday cards. And if you want to see more videos by me, I have 2 more linked here for you. I will see you guys in another video soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.